なんとかなったみてえだな。畳みかける。これがスーパーサイヤ人3だ。
Alright, what's going on, you fam? Raiyuden here. What a reveal! The greatest, biggest celebration of all time. The legendary 7th year anniversary.
Yeah.
I don't want to say I was extremely underwhelmed. I'm just kind of okay.
I was.
I'm not. I think I don't know. There's so many mixed emotions on this one because I don't know. I don't know what to feel really. Like, is this just the 60th anniversary was the pinnacle of the game? Is there something going on?
That's really the crux of this, I think, is because we did the exact same thing with part 1 of Legends Fest, where like part 1 of Legends Fest was revealed, and like if we just didn't have the 6th anniversary, it would have looked decent. It still would have been it wouldn't have been great still, but at least we would have like a decent foundation for part 1 of that celebration. But the 6th anniversary part 1 just set the bar so high that they have to meet it. Like that's an expectation they set.
Yeah.
So now to have 2 celebrations in a row here where it's like it doesn't even come close. Like, I'm sorry, this does not come close to the 6th anniversary.
We're somehow regressing. That's what it feels like right now. And I think you and I have discussed this at length. I think the 2 biggest celebrations for the game should be the periods where you demonstrate what you've been working on. Like, if there should be no reused any mechanic for these 2 for your headliners, this should be the opportunity for you to be like, listen, this is what we've been cooking up all these months during our little mini celebrations. We've been secretly working on this brand new way to enjoy a character.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I had people in the comments saying like, oh, people are just upset that the MUI isn't the Ultra, and or this would have been fine if this wasn't leaked. But that's not what it is. Legends Festival we felt was underwhelming. That didn't get leaked. It's not the characters being leaked. It's the fact that this just doesn't feel anything unique. This doesn't feel anything special. They, leading up to this point, kept talking about how big this is going to be, how grand this is going to be, how hard they've been at work. So, of course, they set the bar up pretty high for themselves, and we expected a lot. We didn't expect what is the equivalent of, I dare say, a monthly character. A transforming character is something I expect to see any random month. This isn't to take away from how well animated these characters are, because the polish on them, it really is really good. They are really well animated. The sound effects are on point. There's no doubt about that. But when it comes to what the characters can do, I just feel like this was a time to give it a little bit more.
What is the difference between the Vegeta and Red Broly?
I don't know.
In terms of quality, in terms of what the character and what the mechanics are with the character, what's the difference?
One's a long combo guy.
There is no difference. It's the same. They're both transforming LFs. That's it. That's the whole gimmick of the character. Well, like going into this, I was expecting utilization of the app update. That's what I was most looking. Like I'm viewing the 7th anniversary as a way for them to showcase what the game is capable of now with this update live.
Yeah.
And I don't feel that they accomplished that at all. I feel like this is they might as well have not even updated the game.
Yeah, and you know what? I already know some other people are going to say, well, there's a part 2 and a part 3, hold your horses, don't judge too early. You guys need to keep in mind, and this is something you've said before as well, part 1 is the driving force for the mood for the entire celebration. So part 1 needs to be a slam dunk, a home run, because otherwise it doesn't matter how good part 2 and part 3 are, they will not be able to carry the disappointing weight of part 1. Everything rides on part 1, and for it to be this, I ain't gonna lie, I don't have more hopes for part 2 and part 3. Honestly, I don't know, because part 2 has traditionally been the period where they're like, okay, part 1, it was super big. We could be a little bit more flexible in part 2, right? Like part 1 for 60th anniversary, we had the most amazing in-game fusion, tag switch, fusion warrior mechanic, duo, whatever. And then part 2 is Ultimate Gohan and God Goku. Like, they knew they could be a little bit more free in part 2. So if part 1 is this, and part 2 they think they're more free, oh my god, I don't even know what to think, right? I don't know.
Yeah, I just think this is where you set the tone for the celebration, and they can finish strong. I mean, they're probably going to come up with some insane stuff for at least part 3. Part 2, we'll see, but I think we saw with Legends Fest that you can end pretty strong. I thought Beast Go Home was a pretty good release.
Yeah.
Not the craziest mechanic ever, but I thought it was a good part 3. You can end strong, but there's always going to be that first part that just brings the rest of the celebration down. I think typically when people think of things, they're like, oh, well, it's all about finishing strong. And usually I think that is true. But when it comes to this game and when it comes to the way that they've structured their celebrations, it really does feel like part 1 matters almost twice as much as both of the other parts, because that's when everybody's paying the closest attention, and that's when the game is at its peak, is part 1.
Yeah, and you know what? I am a little bit disappointed that they ended that festival with this whole new wave of creative freedom, and they've never done anything with it. So is Beast Gohan the only dude with that mechanic? Is that it? Are we gonna park that and shelf it like that Indiana Jones scene where they put the arc away in this big vault? Is that it? Where the prep
it's the
mode
synchro
goes?
gauge mechanic again. Synchro gauge, where is it?
I don't know. I don't understand. I just feel like Legends has so much untapped potential, and we're more vocal when they drop the ball because we know what they're able to do. That's what makes it so frustrating.
This is what we're talking about. They set the bar with the 6th anniversary.
Yeah.
So it's not like we don't have the right to be upset about this because it just simply does not meet the bar that they themselves set last year.
Yeah, not to mention, if you really do care, it is worth giving your 2 cents, even when you're disappointed. You can't just take in everything. I know I'm kind of guilty of trying to find a positive spin on everything, but even I can't really find the most positive spins on this. I think it's time we say something. But either way, I went ahead on Twitter and asked you guys how you feel about the reveal, because my 2 cents, Goresh's 2 cents, there's, that's 4 cents. I want to see how many cents you guys have. Let's start with what Diddy says here. He says Kaba is a headliner. Listen, I don't care what anybody says. I actually think Kaba's kind of cool. I think he's kind of cool. He reminds me of Ippo. If you guys have watched Hajime no Ippo, similar classic character. He's not like an LF. He's just that 1% sideline character. You know what I mean? We had Casserole and Kyawe last year. I think he's in that realm. It's okay.
Yeah. I don't think the 1% sparkings really mean anything in terms of character choices if you nail the other characters, right? Like they did, like you said, Kyawe, they did Casserole. Last year they did like Supreme Kai. Like, as long as the characters are good and they round out the teams for what the actual headlining characters are, I don't really care who the actual characters are, but you got to nail the main units. Yeah, that's the main issue here.
Everything is under more scrutiny if you mess the key part of it. It is fair. Darkrai has said, he says, I've accepted it. He just doesn't care. He's like, I don't care. There's no bar that they're going to hit anymore. It's over. He just threw in the towel.
I think people are accepting of it just because it was leaked already. I think there's an argument where it would have actually been worse if it wasn't leaked before.
You know what? That is true. But the animations in that trailer, I don't recall seeing them in the reveal, so I don't remember seeing Vegeta or Goku do that pose whatsoever. Their green cards are wildly different, are they not?
Oh, I think I did see Vegeta. I don't remember if Vegeta definitely did.
Oh, Christ. Okay, well, let's move past that. Clint Trey says, Vegeta in the water? Yeah, I know. This is the new era of Legends starts at its darkest chapter, I guess.
Yeah, here's my thing, too, and people are going to get mad at this. Go right ahead. No one is going to summon for Vegeta. And when I say no one, I don't literally mean nobody. I mean in comparison to who's summoning for Goku. I would not be surprised if we were able to see by the end of the anniversary what the breakdown was on total amount of CC spent on these banners. Dude, Goku's getting 95% of the total CC spent on his banner. Vegeta's getting like 5. It's crazy.
What's funny is I think they knew that. Did you see, they put the extra effort in Goku, like the sound effects, the animations, the little individual dodging frames. They just went so much harder for Goku than they did for Vegeta, which stinks because Vegeta had some cool moments. But holy crap, those animations were really good.
I think Vegeta should have had like some insane 1% sparking, like we talked about, like we joked about this. I think it was like yesterday, the day before. Vegeta's 1% sparking should have been like Super Saiyan 4 Gogeta. I'm not kidding. It should have been like Beast Gohan 1% sparking. Like, just put something insane on there.
It just kills me thinking about that. You know what would have been the ideal if it was like, I said this before, I think people are getting mad at me for saying this, but I think it should have been an Ultra 2 LFs with the Ultra being shared between the two banners. Like even if the LFs are not cool, and even if the Ultra is not to your peak, at the very least, it's something different. I think they knew... I agree. I think they knew people were not going to be overly excited for this celebration, so they started picking at old things before that we liked and brought it back. And I think the 1800 Z power is that.
Yeah, I was actually laughing when they talked about that.
I think that's a consolidation prize. I think that's them trying to, you know, not fan the flames. I think that's them trying to dampen people's outrage. I think they knew people would be like, okay, you know, it's cool, but it's not quite what I was expecting.
I'm wondering if that was added after people were outraging about the leak.
I don't know. Why did they even leak it?
Well, come on. At this point, you got to know it wasn't on purpose now, right?
There's no way. It was scheduled. They uploaded it several days ago and scheduled it. They can't
made a boo-boo.
They can't mess this up. Like, the intern should have been fired like 5 years ago at this point because he's been messing up.
It's funny how you always say, oh, they're incompetent, but they're not that incompetent. They are actually that incompetent. Yes, they are.
I just feel like a lot of it was like a 4D chess marketing tactic, but perhaps I am simply being too optimistic. I don't know. I couldn't help but feel.
At this point, I'm saying there's no way that was intended.
I'm sad. Dante says, I don't know how to interpret this. It sounds like he's crying, but he's trying to keep a face.
I think he's saying peace because he's out.
I think he quit the game then. Okay, Azariah says, without the leak, it's an 8.5 or a 9 out of 10, probably. With the leak, it's an instant 5 or 6 out of 10. Character choice was really good, but the LFs had many reused animations. Final explosion again? Really? I hope part 2 is on the same level as 5th Annie because this is not looking good. I think we said this earlier. I don't think the leak changed anything. It's you know, the previous festival, they didn't get leaked either. We were just underwhelmed by what's new about these characters. Transforming characters are not, I don't know, you set the bar higher and higher every year. Transforming characters are not, you know, whoa, this is crazy. We've seen these already.
Yeah, again, it's just their own standard was not met by this. That's the best way I think I can summarize this. Their own standard was not met by this part 1.
That's a good way to put it, yeah.
Because they said it themselves last year.
Yeah, that is true. Goten says, I like Vegeta more. As for Red MUI, I'm calling him Frankenstein the way he's made up of Go Frieza's pose, Forku's Kamehameha, Red MUI's mechanics, and UVB's green card. That is true, really. I don't know, dude. Even with Vegeta, they called it a leveling up unique gauge. It's just Evo Ken's gauge. It's the same thing. I don't understand.
I mean, it's a little different because the way it works is you can only charge it one way as level 1, and then as you go through the levels, you can charge it different ways.
Yeah, but ultimately, it's for the same means to the end, which is to fill the gauge.
It is just the scenic route,
yeah. So it's not like I guess, you know, kudos in one way for that, but I also feel like that character goes against their supposed design philosophy. I thought the whole point was not to make everyone one-man armies. This sounds like he is a one-man army. What the hell?
Did you like his disrupt?
Like
that they just didn't give to DB at all?
Yeah, healing, killing 2 cards, bro. What is this? And then he has
200% damage card.
Oh my god.
Dude, they give DKP 130.
You know what I'm curious about? Is this where it ends? Like, is this where they feel like the multipliers are enough? Or are they going to keep going higher and higher? Like 240, 250? Like, how much?
I feel like 200 is what they should have started with.
They're going to be tanky as hell, dude. 200%. That's insane. Like, of the previous gen characters, which Ultra is even remotely close to that? Like, Ultra Majin Vegeta, where does he peak out at? Was it 320? 300? Less?
It's less. I think it's less.
Yeah, like, they're really snuffing out. They're calling an entire era of characters, but is it enough? Like, is this going to be enough to finally get people to move on or no? I don't know. I don't know.
To me, just initial glance at the characters, I don't know if this is enough to get rid of Daima.
Oh, I don't think so either. 100%, I don't think so.
Like they intentionally gave some anti-Daima mechanics to both Goku and Vegeta, with the anti-card slot ceiling, with the abnormal condition stuff, but
With Kaba.
I feel like Ku's Disrupt is literally just too good.
Yeah, that's and his main. Yeah, it's just too much. There's nobody's gonna have protect cards, protect key, protect everything.
Protect main, protect rush. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen.
Protect everything. Protect health. Like, come on.
Yeah, and even if that does come out, that's more of an issue for the rest of the game. If a dude that just protects everything, they got bigger problems if that happens. All right, Arex says, underwhelming. No utilization of the new app update, no new mechanics, was way too long, and not as much hype as there could have been because of the leaks. I do think the characters are hype choices, and their animations are amazing, but even the LF animations could have been better. That is another thing. Why was a third of it spent on the things that they announced on social media? The figure arts, the cards, cards provided, and then there was one more thing. I'm forgetting one more thing.
The figures, the cards, and then there was like the social media stuff, which they talked about like 3 times.
Yeah, it just felt so unnecessary.
I don't know if I've ever actually legitimately felt bored during a reveal, and I kind of felt bored during this. I don't know.
Yeah, it just felt unnecessary to have those mentioned there. I didn't like that it felt like I was watching an ad in an ad.
Yeah,
it was a bit odd, but I do agree with this. Asilis says it's okay. It's not Legends Fest 2024. I think that's unfair. MUI is better than the 60th Vegito Blue. Standalone Vegeta is always nice to see, so Super Saiyan Blue evolved over the 4th Rose. The free CC is insane compared to Anniversary and Legends Fest. And
that is true. That is true.
Yeah, and the 3 times Z power is legit just peak. It's not 690, but it's not 2024 Fest.
I think the main factor why everybody is just so down about this is not the characters. It's just what is changing about the game from this release.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Do you think in some part it's the community's fault for assuming domains, giant characters, battling on the ground or destructible environments? Do you think in part we are to blame too?
No, because they've been advertising this since the 6th anniversary. They started talking about this update last year.
I guess it's true.
So they've been hyping it up forever. And then how many posts in the news did they make about, you'll make sure you have a device that has enough RAM. Oh, we're going to overhaul the system. Oh, there's an app update. We redid the UI. And then they even started the reveal by talking about how this is the biggest update ever. And we've got some crazy stuff coming up. Like, they're really putting everything into this, and then it just feels like it's, I don't know, it doesn't live up to the hype at all compared to last year.
You know what my fear is? We all assume that the increased RAM thing is because they want to dedicate it to better models and PvP fights. My fear is they just didn't handle the refactoring the UI well, and they're like, oh crap, we just have no choice. So they just increased the budget. Kind of like games nowadays, like, oh, why is COD 300 gigs? It feels like that right now. That's what I'm worried about, because the performance issues are, never ending. My fault when I play, I have a high-end device. It dips below 60 FPS. The UI menu is kind of clunky too. I don't know. Maybe that's not what it was for. Maybe we misjudged what the increased RAM update is even for.
Because they did say in the actual post that it's to increase the quality of animations. So
maybe. Okay, a lot of people are saying, not a bad choice for characters, leaking them before the reveal and reusing old animations, and the old model for MBY just killed all the hype. Yeah, also they could have made Rev UI be Green Saiyan instead of Universe Rep, and no hit plat when the 1% on both characters are Universe 6 Saiyans. I guess there's some truth to that, but I don't want to automatically assume...
Yeah, that might be something that they just didn't announce yet.
Yeah, that could be later on. So let's not automatically assume that. Rev UI being for Green Saiyans, I don't think in this case would make sense.
Keep in mind, they didn't even show us remember, sometimes in these reveals, they used to show up like the co-op unique equips. They didn't show us that. We know we're getting a new season tomorrow.
Yeah.
So.
They pick and choose information very oddly. I think I would have been better with that versus the figure arts and the social media stuff over and over again. Either way.
That's just smart. That was just a commercial.
Yeah. Massive L. No new mechanics, just a remastered animations of the carbon copy of the two past units, and that's all. Giving them a new kit / animations isn't going to cut it. They blue balled us for a year's sake. This is a big update. Yada yada. Then we saw this. Huh?
I think that's fair. I think that is a fair reaction.
Yeah, that's completely fair. They can't hype this anniversary like that with the result being this. I've been playing since day one, and for me, this is Legends activating its death sentence. If the best celebration is this, then there's no potential for future celebrations and updates. I'm not going to automatically say this is a death sentence, but I think this is one of the things where there's a chip in the armor. This is where people start, you know, pulling their faith a little bit in the game.
I don't think this is a death sentence, but I think I do think this actually like permanently damages the game.
I do think it kind of sours people's expectations and excitement going forward. I was hoping that we could have said Festival was just a fluke, a one-off. Perhaps they're shaking hands and, you know, passing the torch to a different producer, whatever. But this happening twice, I don't know. It's starting to feel like this is their norm. It's like they lowered the bar. We're regressing is what it feels like.
No, that's right.
Mr. Bone, it's a 9 out of 10. Could have been a 9.5 out of 10 if certain people didn't spread the leak, and a 10 out of 10 if the leak didn't happen in the first place.
I don't think that leak matters.
Yeah, I don't think the leak mattered at all. DNG says, it would have been better received without the leak. I think UI Goku looks amazing in terms of animations, but no new model or mechanics is disappointing, especially since they've tested this Annie update since 6th year. I understand why the community is upset. Again, everyone keeps talking about the leak.
UI has a new model, doesn't he?
I don't think so. I think it's just his face.
Oh, it's just the face. Okay, because I was going to say that shot at the end looks really updated.
Yeah, I think it's just his face. Otherwise, everything else is the same. Again, I don't think the leak is the issue because this is no different than with Festival. With Festival, we felt underwhelmed and there was no leak there either, despite exciting character choices. It's because the expectation is what is the new way to enjoy the game. We always expect that anniversary / festival. And with them going out their way to talk about how big this update is going to be, their update, whatever, powerful devices, whatever, they just set the bar higher. And because they didn't met it, like you said, with their own standards, then I think the disappointment is fair. I think it's fair. I still don't know if it's Zayed or Zied. I don't know how to pronounce his name. Is it Zied?
Yeah, I think. I don't know.
Yeah, he just shared this photo. Yeah, Ripperoni Pepperoni. Headliners are disappointing to be fair. Side units are cool. Zenkai choice is baffling. Overall, not good. While I can understand...
Wait, Zenkai choice is baffling? Why?
I thought Rev UI was pretty appropriate.
Yeah, I thought that was a good one.
Yeah, I won't agree with the Zenkai choice. I don't know what they were expecting. Like, who else would you want Zenkai? Go Frieza?
Red UI?
Hell no. No, man. Can you imagine that? There's two of those bums together? You already know somebody's going to do it. Here's another thing. I am shocked that they did not talk about the cards held by these two characters.
That's true. I actually didn't even think about that.
Why did they waste their time saying this is going to help translate to unique deck combinations now and not take the time to say, oh, MUI Goku has a Vanish Restore strike card? And
what if he has a blue?
I don't know. All I know is it just felt like, where does this come from? What were their plans? I keep attributing every change they make to some grand plan that they have later on, and they never work on it. I'm still waiting for the LF unique ability thing. It's still 10% all stats. What is this? This is boring. Give me something new.
Yeah, it's only been a year and a half. They need more time.
If we follow the guild updates dev schedule, we're going to see it at 10th anniversary. That's when we see it fully flushed out. While I can certainly understand and agree with the disappointment on a grander scale, I don't care what anyone says. I love the Universe 6 Saiyans, and I've been waiting for a Super Saiyan 2 Kaba and a Tail, Kale, and Caulifla, so I'm personally very excited. They look amazing model-wise and animation-wise. Listen, this is fine. We don't want anyone to feel we're trying to pull away from their excitement for the characters and the anniversary, whatever. If you have fun with it and you're hyped for it, then that's all good. I just think... they could have done more or could have done better. That's all. If you're happy with what we got, that's okay. But I still think they could have done a better job. That's all.
The funniest thing to me, and I'm probably going to reiterate this in my video too, The funniest thing to me is how people are legitimately like, "Oh, this is the death sentence for the game." Like, it's not good for the game, but people are like, "Do you understand how popular UI Goku is?"
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna the game is about to make truckloads of money from this part 1. Like, people are on Twitter like, "Oh my god, the game is dead," and like they're about to just make like literally dump trucks worth of money from this. Like, it's UI Goku, man.
Yeah,
sure, the game is fine.
I can understand both sides, really. Like, if what is supposed to be the pinnacle of the game's celebration, especially with it being the 7th year, if this is supposed to represent the pinnacle, then, you know, is it only going to get worse from here?
For me, they didn't take it to the next level, which is what we were expecting them to do.
Yeah.
Right? They can just, you know, kind of like I guess the best way to describe it is they could just clip coupons and release, transforming VB, transforming UI Goku. Next, we're going to get a transforming Gogeta Blue. Like, they could just clip coupons and do that. Or they can do what we expected them to do and go above and beyond and introduce new mechanics. We have ways that allow our characters to interact with the environment. We have giant characters. We have domains. Like, these are the things that we are expecting because of the way that they've talked about this and hyped up this update for so long. So they didn't make that step, and that's why we're kind of down on this. But let's not act that this is not going. Let's not act like this is not going to just be a massive payday for them, because it is.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to summarize this. Ultimately, some people disappointed, some people excited. I feel like I'm kind of in the middle, but ultimately, I think we could have received a little bit more. Either way, I'm going to leave it there. Goresh, do you have any closing thoughts on this? Or did you already say it?
I think I've said everything I need to say. I think the one thing, just to reiterate, and I'll mention this in my part as well, but don't see other people being negative about this and then feel as if you have to be negative about it. If you genuinely like what you saw, then I think there's no issue with that, right? Everybody's expressing their own opinions. And if you didn't like what you saw, but you saw some people being positive about it, that same thing applies to that as well. So form your own opinions and stick with what you think.
Your mistake is assuming this can be civil. It'll turn into chaos. Either way, we're gonna leave it there. Be sure to check out Goresh's part. He's gonna be his part is gonna be linked in the description box down below and the pinned comment. We'll see you guys there. Let us see what everyone's opinion is. But until then, peace out, guys.